Hello, salut. I am the Rasta Witch. Here's where we learn the way of the Yan Sui Rasta, which is to say, my kind of Ital. Please subscribe and begin your own kind of Yan Sui witchcraft. All roads lead to Rome. Home. Okay, finally, we're on the subject of the Qabalah. You're going to love this. The Qabalah is an incredible subject. So the Qabalah, it's a, like I've heard people say that's a Jewish thing, isn't it? Well, yeah, Qabalah is a Hebrew word. It means both to receive and receiving. So the Kabbalah, like, you'll hear it when people say they know where and when the Kabbalah started, they mean like historically where we can prove that it came from. But there's many people that believe that it's what was whispered into the ears of Adam when he left the Garden of Eden, and I don't believe you've already seen my playlist at the beginning, or my video at the beginning of my Bible discussions playlist, where I go over how Adam was taken from Atum, from Egypt. But even if it was taken somewhere else, it's there was no Adam and Eve, and nothing about that story has anything to do with reality. That's introducing the deity and starting the story, and with the original creation story from the original religion, Atum. I think that it's not so much that it came from the beginning, it's just that it's always been there in the beginning, So the best evidence of that is the mistranslation on the Ten Commandments, where it says, "Thou shalt not take the name of the Lord thy God in vain." That's a mistranslation. That should say, "Thou shalt not bring the name of thy Lord thy God to naught." Nought. In other words, thou shalt, don't replace Yahweh with other deities. This religion's about is the deity Yahweh. And if you can see on my Bible discussions playlist, I have a video about where the deity Yahweh came from. It was originally it was a deity taken in, that's not a video I did. That's a video that I have a Jewish theologian do, so you can hear it from someone else. I learned it originally from Karen Armstrong. It's just known with the scholars. So it's all, there's no like beginning. There's no single voice in the Bible. There's no single deity. It's all a process, and it's all a bunch of things brought together from different times, different cultures, different peoples, all brought in, And so it's no one knows where the concepts of the Kabbalah come from. So you might as well just say it came from Adam and Eve, knowing that there never was an Adam and Eve, if you know what I mean. Just that it's always a part of it, because so you're like, oh, what does that have to do with not bringing the name of the Lord thy God to naught? Because the Kabbalah, as we learn in the Sefer Yetzirah, Sefer Yetzirah, the Book of Formation. Sefer Yetzirah means Book of Formation in Hebrew. Sefer means book, Yetzirah means formation, I guess. So this book, see, it's just a thin book. It's because, so the Kabbalah was always an oral tradition. It was there's a lot of things about theology that you trust someone to teach you what it means, then you hear other people define it in a different way or explain it a different way, and you're like, oh, what? And this is especially true. Things like what the Kabbalah is, where it comes from, those type of questions, there's just a lot of different opinions, even among the experts, of where these things come from. Uh, so the the one that I go with was just like a Jewish encyclopedia thing about Jewish things. I looked it up and it said that married men above the age of 35 were encouraged, not required, to study the Kabbalah if they want to learn more depth into what things mean. And I think that that's some of that's really well said. Not the married men over 35 part, but the other part. It's the word occult. It's the occult. The word occult means hidden. It's the hidden side of things, you know. So it was just an oral tradition where they would go over what each of the Hebrew characters mean and what many things mean on a deeper level, on a mystic level. I'm pretty sure would be the proper word for it. Until it came to a time where it's like all, you know, probably I supposed some kind of argument about the origins of things. At one point they decided, let's write this down. And so this was, the Sefer Yetzirah is the first attempt to write things down. The most famous book in the Kabbalah, or better said, the most famous written Kabbalah, because like I said, it was an oral tradition. It was kind of like a fraternity, like a, you know, men getting together discussing the deeper meanings of things, which my family lived in Saudi Arabia for most of my adult life. And so I learned to appreciate Arabic things and Islam and that. And I have a Quran and I've studied that a little bit too. And the truth is, like, especially with like cannabis, you're like, oh, well, what's some of the early references to cannabis? One of them is the Arabs getting together, smoking hash and mysticizing, and they come from a proud long line of philosophers and stuff. And that's just it's the Jews too. It's really just, that's just a behavior that you see everywhere, where, you know, where men get together and do that. So the most famous written Kabbalah is the Zohar, of course. You've probably even heard of the Zohar, translated the Book of Splendor. The Zohar is the most famous one, but it's the Sefer Yetzirah is an older one, and the Sefer Yetzirah it's real thin because it's just about saying, look, this is what it's all based on. This is what it's all about. This is the foundation. The Sefer Yetzirah is the foundation of the concepts of the Kabbalah and what it's based on. And that's why on the front here, it has, of course, in Hebrew, things are written backwards. It has Yahweh on there, you know. So the first character is that right there is actually the first character. That's Yod. Che. Bao. Che. I said bao. I speak Spanish. Yod. Che. Bao. Che. Pronounced Yod Che Bao Che, called the tetragram, is pronounced Yahweh, which is the tetragrammaton. Tetragrammaton. And that's really what it's all based on. So it takes correspondences. So Yod is like the number 1. Okay? Che is like the number 2. Vau is like the number 3. And the final Che is like the number 4. You know? Yod Che Vau Che. And then everything starts corresponding to that. But it's deep, really deep. I mean, it goes into what's called gematria. I've heard it pronounced gematria. You have to remember, I know the things I know from reading, okay? Not as much the internet. I learned way more from books than I did the internet. In fact, I already knew all these things before I even had the internet. But I thought this had a fold-out thing. Did I lose that over the years? But yeah, like it all, like two, like how 4 is made up of 2 2s, and then 8 is made up of 2 4s and things like that. Like it all comes from that, and so that's the name. Remember I said, "Thou shalt not bring the name of the Lord thy God to naught." So the Qabalah is all about the name of the Lord, Yahweh, and so the 10 Commandments are in the book of Genesis, which is the first book. Oh no, it's not. It's in the book of Exodus. Sorry, goofball. But the book of Genesis is a book of Moses, and Moses is the one that did the 10 Commandments. Remember, with the tablets. And so the book of Genesis is Moses telling you the book of Genesis is everything Moses knew about things before him, being retold by Moses supposedly, which we know isn't true. It's been told by many people and blah blah blah. I've gone over that plenty. So these things don't really matter. It's just that, so you can see that you might as well just see the Kabbalah as something that's always been a part of it. And there is lots of reasons to believe that, because the Kabbalah, the tarot deck, and astrology, and the occult, those things are all really the same thing. It's all the same thing. You might as well just, it's all the Kabbalah. Okay, like I said, it's correspondences. Like there's a tarot card that corresponds to each thing. So right now, what I'm trying to do with this video is I want to just establish the basic thing about what the Kabbalah is, and then I'll go over each thing with one video. Like I'll do one video on what the number 1 means, one video on what the number 2 means, and just kind of do it like that. But first with this video, I need to kind of establish it. So now I've just kind of established the history of where it comes from. So now let's continue with the base, like I just said, is Yahweh. So Yod, the first letter right there, it's a sperm. It means sperm. It's a sperm or a flame. It corresponds to fire. Yod He Bao He, fire, water, air, earth. 1, 2, 3, 4. Red, blue, yellow, green. Like there's so there's a corresponding Hebrew character, a corresponding color, a corresponding animal, a corresponding incense, a corresponding, and really there's no limit to what you might do, but because it's all based on this, Yod is fire, the number 1, and red. And it's like the light bulb above the head. Bing! I have an idea. See, because God's not a man in the sky. Yahweh's never was a man in the sky. The Kabbalah is perhaps the strongest evidence that that's true. Okay? And the Kabbalah is certainly older than the concept of the Trinity. Certainly. Okay, bing, a light bulb. Fire. Hey, I have an idea. I want to make a cake. I always use the example of the cake. You guys have heard this before. I do like cake. That's the reason. You want to make me happy? Make me a cake. All right. I'm gonna make a cake. A green cake because I like the Philadelphia Eagles. Ding. And then the second one, He, is water, and that's a window. See how it's a picture of a window? A window. And it means water. And the number 2. So water, fire is like is imagination and ideas and creativity, Water is like emotion and intuition and hopes and dreams and things like that. And so remember, fire was, I want to make a cake. Water, I just love cake. Let's do this. Yeah, let's do this. Like your mom coaching you on, you know, because it's also king, queen, prince, and princess, you know. So it's like mom. It's like dad, mom, son, and daughter, you know. So the idea was dad saying, "Hey, let's make a cake." Mom says, you know, but within you. Mom says, "Yeah, cake, that's a good idea." And adds some emotional support and everything to it, you know. And then vow, see that? Vow? That's a sword. Because swords cut through air, like words. Uh, that's air. The color yellow, the number 3, words, intellectual substance. It's all those things, you know. So now you say, yeah, where is that cake recipe? Yeah, here it is. And okay, we need flour, sugar, you know, and you organize it intellectually. See, because another name for Yahweh is the Almighty Creator. Okay, the creative power within. So this is how you create things, you know. Because again, Yahweh is not the same today, yesterday, and forever. Fact. Ping. It's not. There's no data that can support that idea. It was all a process. We know when things happened. We can watch the process in history, you know, and it's the Almighty Creator. You know, how you create things within, and so did Yahweh create the universe? And that's just to say that we're connected to the same creative power within is the same creative power with the universe. And that's because, like I say with my videos, I've already done 2 of them on meditation, though I've done 3 of them on meditation. And on meditation, what you're doing is you're transcending through the levels of ego to identify ego so you can transcend it and become one with the universe, really, you know? And that's what an enlightened person is. And so in other words, who you really are is one with everything, you know? So this creative power is part of you, and you're part of everything, and so therefore it is it is connected to the creative force that's the universe, you know. But then again, we're humans, and our thinking, and our thinking and our intellectual capacity, those are really just words, and we create things with words, and that's the Almighty Creator. That's who God really is. That's who Yahweh's always been, is the creative power within, and how we organize words and everything. But with Yod, it wasn't words yet, huh? I mean, it was the thought, I'm going to make a cake. And then water, it was emotion, and the emotions aren't really words, but now you're organizing the words with vow, and that sword. And then when the 3 are one, fire, water, and air, when those 3 are one, the reason the 4th one is a repeat of the 2nd one, final He, which is for earth, and the reason it's for earth is because when the first 3 are one, you have manifestation of form. Because like I said, Yahweh, the King James Version translates Yahweh to mean I am, that great I am, because the to be verb, I am, is God is a verb. Yahweh is a verb. Jah is a verb. Of course, Jah is short for Yahweh. And I've already gone over that. It used to be Yah till the invention of the letter J, and it became Jah. So it means idea, emotion, intellect, and when those 3 things are one, you can make things, manifestation of form, okay? And so it's the Almighty Creator, it's the creative force within. The burning bush, when Moses is introducing the deity of Yahweh, the burning bush is your body. It's a fire that burns but doesn't go out because we have nerves and everything and that. And I've already gone over that with my videos about Moses. I have a part A and part B about Moses and how he really was just an Egyptian magician and all that. I should leave a link in the description box to my video. It's a 2-part thing, but I'll leave you a link to the first one, and the first one has a link to the second one, and you can go into more depth about that. So Yahweh is the creative force within, okay? And so what the Kabbalah is the Kabbalah is the organizing of the Sephirot. Sephirot in Hebrew is plural for spheres. Spheres. Sephirah is singular. This is Sephirah 1. This is Sephirah 2. These are Sephirot, because it's plural, see? And so like we actually create things. There's actually 10 steps to creating things. So these three are called above the abyss, the supernals. And that's Keter, the Hebrew character that corresponds to number 1 is Keter, and it's the number white. White is none of the colors. The top of the tree up here is it's so pure. It's not male or female. It's, because who we really are is beyond our gender, and who our thoughts are, and these things are all one. It's all beyond gender. Gender doesn't come into play. If there's one point in space, it's neither big nor small, far nor near. If you get two things, you kind of can compare them. So you're starting to be able to have identifiers and labels and names and meanings and stuff. But there's still, you need three things at least before things can be big, small, far, near, more emotional, less emotional, or anything like that, see? So that's why there's three things above the abyss. And the first one is white, the second one is gray, and the third one is black. Oops. I did that backwards, didn't I? Because I'm looking at the thing. Which one's that? Oh, yeah, it is. Sorry. This one's number 1. This one's number 2. This one's number 3. White, gray, and black. White is none of the colors. Black is all of the colors. Gray is in between. See that? So number 1 is beyond all that. In fact, above number 1 is the number 0. And those are in the form of what they call the negative vowels. And they say there's 3 negative vowels, and that's just because 3 just three is the magic number. 3 sometimes 3 can mean, like 1 means one of those things. 2 means there's more than one. 3 either can mean there's 3 things, or it can mean this and all the others. It kind of implies that there can be many things. If there's 3, there might be many more. And so there's 3 negative vowels to mean that the number 0, which is a disc, it's the womb of the universe, the vagina, the bald head of the Buddha. 0 is actually 3 negative vowels to mean it's just beyond our comprehension and beyond us. Number 2 is kokma, okay, and that's gray. And again, I'll go over all these. And that's the masculine energy. And then 3 is Bina, which means, which is number 3, and that's the feminine side. So these, number 2 and number 3 form the polarity above the abyss. And all of this is above the abyss because it's beyond us and, the supernals. And so to me, and though it would cause endless arguments whether the supernals could be counted as the Trinity, but I'll go over what a correspondence is in a second, okay? And where we get correspondences and whether we can adapt those to our own thing or not. Spoiler alert, we can. So there's no. To argue anything about the Kabbalah is to not really understand the Kabbalah, isn't it? Because it's all just a personal journey. All roads lead to Rome. Home. Okay, number 1, Keter means crown. The Jata. Jata means crown in India. It's what you call your dreadlocks. Rastas call their dreadlocks their crown. It's the crown chakra. These are also chakras. The ones going down the middle are chakras. The crown chakra. The Jata, the dreadlocks, to a Rasta, those are all correspondences to Keter, which is crown in Hebrew. And then Kokma, number 2, the masculine side of the polarity, wisdom. And ow, getting a cramp in my thumb. And then number 3 is Bina, and that means unity. See, because black is all the colors. Crown, wisdom, and unity. Because remember, vow, words, or it's a masculine energy. Yod, He, Vow, He. Fire, water, air, and earth. Masculine, feminine, masculine, feminine. King, queen, prince, and princess. See? So now you cross the abyss to number 4. See, 1, 2. To connect all these, it's 1 and the bottom's 10. So to connect them, that's called the lightning flash. So we're going to do we're going to walk through the lightning flash real quick. 1, 2, 3. Now we go to 4 and cross the abyss. And that's Chesed. Chesed, it's spelled Chesed. And again, Chesed, I think it's really Chesed. I think there's something, I'm not really sure. It's not Chesed, but that's what it looks like. Chesed means mercy, and it's also one of the attribute names, like you saw in my video about Melchizedek. Mercy. So what happens is, remember, this is the masculine side of the polarity above the abyss, the feminine side. When you cross the abyss, it switches. Now this side is the feminine side of the rest of the tree, and this is the masculine side of the rest of the tree. So when you cross the abyss, it flips around. So number 4 is Chesed, okay? So Chesed is the first number. The corresponding planet for Chesed is Jupiter. Each one has a corresponding planet. Jupiter is so big that all the other planets fit inside of it, except the sun, of course. The sun's not a planet. You're saying, shut up. So remember, Yahweh's 4 letters, and the 4 is a repeat of the second. So number 4 is the feminine side of the archetypal polarity. Okay. Now the middle here is the self. Okay. So that you have the supernals, which includes the polarity above the abyss. Then you have the archetype upper polarity, the archetypal polarity, which has a feminine and a masculine energy side too. Then you have the lower polarity below the self, which also has a feminine and a masculine side. So the Chesed is mercy, and Jabura is strength. That's number 5. So 1, 2, 3, 4. Oops, I did that wrong. I'm looking at it backwards. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, see, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. That is the lightning flash. So the upper polarity, think about it. Your archetype is made up of like your deity concept is made up of mercy, and to be healthy, you have to have a balance, and strength, so a healthy archetypal polarity. If your archetype is all strength, that's out of balance. You got to have some mercy in there, and vice versa. The self corresponds to the sun, Tiferet, which is beauty. I've already made this too long. I better hurry up. Netzach is feeling, and Chad is thinking and intellectual. See, if you're all intellectual and you don't have enough feeling, that's out of balance. You're unhealthy. If you're all feeling and you don't have any intellectual, that's also out of balance. So part of the Qabalah is to learn how to balance the polarities. Of course, this is above you, and then Yesod is means foundation. It's purple, and it's like the shadow side of things, the astral realm. And then 10, the corresponding planet's Earth, Malkut, which means the kingdom in its manifested form. Okay, so the Sephiroth, and did you notice there's a pathway in between each one? Each one, like the number 1, has in the tarot deck has the 1 of Wands, the 1 of Cups, the 1 of Swords, and the 1 of Pentacles. Number 2 is, so there's 4 cards for each number, and those are the minor arcana, and I'll go over this more in detail. And then the pathways, there's a major arcana, the moon, the emperor, the empress, the devil, the tower. All those cards are the pathways, and each one has a corresponding tarot card. And Okay, so there's traditional correspondences, and those are the ones so this is the book again that I've read many books about the Kabbalah, but this is the one that means the most to me. The Complete Guide to the Kabbalah by Will Parfit. And this one has charts charts and charts in the back of just a bunch of traditional correspondences that you can use. But you're always welcome to bring in your own correspondence. If a certain pathway or a certain anything you already have a correspondence that means that thing to you, you don't have to use the traditional one. The whole thing can be personalized. And the first step in the Kabbalah is to decide what all your pathways and everything, what your correspondences are. Then you have a working Kabbalah. And now you really have something, and you got to learn all the different tarot cards, which is the easiest way. And I'll go into this in more detail. So this is really in this video we talked about where the Kabbalah comes from, what it's based on, what's the earlier books, and what the Sephiroth is, and what a correspondence is. And so like when I talked about what each one meant, these are just examples so you understand what the Sephiroth are. In following videos, I'll go over what each thing means. Predictably, this was a long video. Okay, I better stop here.